I basically manage all the keepers and the managers that directly take care of the animals, but I'm also involved with like the collection planning, and it also involves talking to other institutions for doing moves, you know, working with the vet department. So it's a wide variety of things, but it's about the animals and also about the people. When it comes to dealing with the records department, I just oversee them to make sure that they are filling out the proper permits that we need to legally operate. It's also making sure that we are keeping any records of the animals on property that we legally need to maintain, making sure that they're in the, you know, online record keeping system or filed away. But it's also dealing with the, you know, entities like Florida Fish and Wildlife Service or USDA, US Fish and Wildlife. So it's a wide variety of tasks that involves in that department. My career started in 2001 when I was an intern at the Indianapolis Zoo. And I worked there for the 3-month period as an intern in their program. And then I just worked my way up to seasonal positions, then full-time, and then up through the management chain. Animals were always of an interest to me, but I never really considered it as a field that I would go into. But also, even when I got into college, I'd actually never planned to stay at a zoo. It was just originally I was going to just come here, get experience working with animals, and ideally I was going to move into a research. My plan originally, even going through college, was only to stay in a zoo field for a few years, and then I was going to move on to doing research. That was always more the desire that I had. So here I am, over 20 years later, still working with animals. It is a hard job. You know, like especially down here in Miami, you know, most of my areas, you're working out in the elements all day. You have to be used to sweating in the sun or getting stuck in a rainstorm because you're here to take care of animals, and that is not always what people want. So my advice actually more is to find a location in the country you want to work in, because you're going to be working in these elements, and try to focus your career path in that area or around those zoos and build your career through that way. Because you will be working outside. You know, if you're up north, you're working in the snow. You know, you might be shoveling snow all the time so your animals can go outside. You know, down in Miami, you got to deal with hurricanes. So it's almost identify what type of climate, culture you want to deal with and focus your career path in that region and move forward. I have, throughout my career, done some research projects. I have worked in some conservation directly. One of the big ones that I have been involved with was actually called the Great Grevy's Rally, which is put on by the Grevy Zebra Trust, where you're actually out in the field doing a census of Grevy zebras throughout Kenya. Actually, luckily, Zoo Miami supported me to go out there to do it. This was almost 6 years ago now. And I have sent a keeper as well, the next one they did. Unfortunately, COVID has delayed sending more people. So that is one of the last research projects or conservation projects that I have been directly involved with. But I also work on other projects, such as working with with other projects, or actually starting to get involved with working with conservation projects like Action Indonesia. That I have now been more involved with the Banteng aspect of that program, and I'm working my way getting to know people within that core group of people and seeing where I can help out. So that's sort of my next goal, is to help the Action Industry people get their boots on the ground. My experience, my knowledge, my desires run within like what we call animal science here at Zoo Miami. It's working more with the animals. You know, obviously as a keeper, you get lots of injuries, your body breaks down. You know, I can't be working out there in the field, unfortunately, anymore with my back problems and my, you know, other injuries I've had. So I've had to work my way up into management, but I still like to try to get out there and do stuff. So I think staying at the zoo, this is sort of the department I would be in. I guess what I like best about my job is that no 2 days are ever alike. You never know what is going to happen. Animals are not predictable. Luckily, these guys behind me are, they're cooperating, but they've moved, you know, as you've seen through this, this video. So you never know what's going to happen. You know, it could be a nice calm day where I'm able to get, I got this project to do, I got this one to work on. But the next day, maybe like, I have to do this, you know, we have a medical emergency that we need to deal with, or we got to do an animal transport today, or, you know, there's a meeting that they called that I have to run into. So I guess it always keeps you on your toes. So I'm never one to be stagnant. I like to move. I like to do something different. So it allows me to not be in the same mindset all the time. My favorite animal, if you asked me growing up, was always going to be a cheetah. That's what I was always interested in. Every research paper I did growing up was on a cheetah. You know, that's what I always thought I wanted to work with. But I had the chance to work with them. I like them. But honestly, I actually fell in love with, there's a group of animals called duikers. And actually that's what I sort of have fallen in love with. They range in size. You get little ones called blue duikers, they're only about yay tall, but then you got yellowbacks that are sort of this tall, you know, so you got ankle height and waist height, you know, they range. But working with animals and getting to know them, I've always been a fan of duikers as a group of animals that I've loved. At this time, I don't have plans on leaving Zoo Miami. I think there is some career development that I can still do here. The institution has allowed me to be involved with like SSP, species survival plans. I also work directly as an instructor on an education course for AZA. They've allowed me to actually do some of this conservation work. So I think there is a good base for me here at Zoo Miami that I keep to hold and grow, expand my own knowledge, because you're always learning in this field. But I'm also here to help the next generation that comes up, and that's why I'm getting more involved with things with AZA.